Hey guys, Nate here again. So in my first blog, I talked about how to program the local arm care schedule on certain aspects and certain exercises and when to do them. I had great feedback from that, and then I got asked on how would I program my position players on the same topic. So how does this correlate with them when they're playing every day and they're not getting the same high volume of throwing for every day as a pitcher does when they have a start or when they have a bullpen? I think that is a great question. So I wanna give it a thought as far as that as on how we should be throwing it based on a position player. So of course they don't have the same volume as far as like if they have a bullpen or a start. So they're not going to have an extremely high volume on any one specific day. But then if you think about what they do from a game to game activity or day to day activity, they probably if you're an outfielder at most on a very heavy day, you may have 5 full effort throws, and that, like I'm saying, that is a very high day even. So they might throw in between innings and things like that. So their number of throws per game may be a little bit higher than what their pregame ritual is. But that doesn't mean that we need to stop developing their arm and maybe try to gain some velocity from the outfield as well, and still think about arm health. So how you can think about this is almost adjust a position player's throwing just as if you're trying to develop a pitcher. So even as an outfielder or as an infielder that's trying to gain velocity or be able to give it all out to gun a guy down at third or at home, you still want to develop that arm. So what that means is we don't want a guy going out there and throwing long toss every day. Because if you think about that, that would be the same thing as trying to do a squat every day. You're basically hitting the same muscle group and not giving it time to recover. So if we think about it that way, we're still going to have high days and low days. And then in that, we can still build strength for our arm. So looking at it from a position player aspect, so they're not going to have a bullpen and they're not going to have a start, but we're still going to have high days. So if you think about it on here, so if you're on a 6-day, say we're going to have 2 long toss days in a week, and I would say anywhere between 2 to 3 days a week for long toss is probably where you want to stay. Any more than that will probably be a little bit too much for the arm, and you're not giving the arm enough time to recover. So for a position player, what we start to think about is instead of the bullpen, you just have a high intent day. So same thing with the start. So you have a high intent day there as well. And what that means, what a high intent day means, so during your catch play when you're kind of warming up to play, you're going to have a little bit more volume, a little bit more distance. So the high intent days are what I would consider us to be our long toss days. So think about if we're trying to gain arm strength for throwing, we may go 120 to 180, or maybe even a little bit further when we're throwing the ball to warm up. This is where we're going to actually exaggerate that long. We're going to get some long toss. Same thing over here. We're going to go to 120 at least, probably 180 and a little bit more. During that throw, you're probably only going to get 15 to 20 to 25 balls max once you hit that distance, and it may not even go that much, but you're still just trying to air it out. You're trying to gain some distance to the throws, but then when you think about it, the day after that, you probably don't want to throw that hard. You're going to have to give, or that many times, you're going to have to give your arm a break. So that's going to be when we're going to go maybe only 60 feet to warm up. And remember, this is in our catch play. This is when the pregame, pre-practice, when we're just starting to warm up a little bit. You're still going to get some more throws in the game, but it's going to be light throwing before maybe a few hard, high effort throws throughout the game as well. But this is where we're really developing the players. And then for the day right before the high intent day, we're going to go a moderate day, which is about 90 feet, maybe out to 110, 120. And then you're only going about 20 throws as well. So in that aspect, we still have a same schedule for arm care, for a local arm care schedule. We're still going to restore. We're still going to do our restoration, our slow returns, our eccentric exercises on the high intent days. So on day 0 and day 3. And then the day before our high intent day, we're not going to want to burn out our arm. We're not going to want to do a lot of strengthening stuff where you're getting the rotator cuff fatigue so that you're going out the next day and throwing hard and throwing a lot, and you're not going to be able to establish or keep the shoulder strong the next day. And then the day after you throw, when you have 2 more days until that high intensity day, you can still build a little shoulder strength there and do your typical, like what you think of your bulking exercises where you're actually trying to build strength there. So here again, like I said, you can kind of keep the same schedule, knowing that you're one of building up high intent days where long toss days are 2 to 3 times throughout the week. And after those days, we're still going to want to restore some of that mobility that we may have lost from throwing the ball at such a high effort and for more throws than you would typically see in a normal day. Thanks, guys.